actually negotiated the price down for my car, which I am very proud of because I'm not the Hi guys, my name is andiswa.mojapelo and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do hope that you decide to stay and that you enjoy the content. We chat about all things related to money and adulting in general. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching this video and I really do hope you enjoy it. And if you do, don't forget, right? So guys, today we are talking about buying your first car. This is part 2. I already did a video about buying your first car and some of the things that you can do to actually plan towards this decision, because I am an advocate for budgeting. I'm an advocate for planning in advance and for taking some steps to prepare your money and your mind, especially when you are going to make big purchases. So if you haven't caught part 1 of this, please watch the video. I'm going to link it up here or there. And make sure that you watch the video on how to prepare and plan and how to prepare your mind and your money before you make this decision. And today's part 2, which I promised to do in terms of doing a video of, okay, now I've prepared, I've planned, and it's time to buy my car. What are some of the things that I need to consider? What are some of the options that are available? And of course, I am relating this to my experience and some of the decisions that I took that I believe really helped me make a decision that I'm comfortable with and that I am still years later to this day very happy with, right? Okay, so let's get straight into it, right? The first thing I did is I bought my car from a dealership as opposed to directly from an individual. So I mentioned this first because I saw a comment recently with someone asking in another video about, do you think it's better to buy a car from a dealership or from an individual? So I decided to go with the dealership, even though I found that at times, well, most times it is cheaper to buy from an individual directly. I feel like what you save in the price versus the risk that you take is just too much for me to bear as an individual, right? I wanted to make sure that I bought my car from a reputable dealership so that if I had any issues with the car, if the car had a factory fault or if there was anything like that, I could go back to a dealership that had a reputational risk, right, in not doing right by me. And I felt like I wanted something like that to hold on to as confidence that, okay, this is probably a good car and this is probably what they say it is, versus buying it from an individual that I don't know, that I don't have a relationship with, that could just disappear on me. You know, for me, it was too much of a risk. So I went the dealership route. Although I do believe that going the dealership route sometimes costs a bit more, the risk in going direct for me was just too much. Unless, of course, you know the person and you've known the person for years, and the chances of them disappearing on you, or, you know, screwing you over a bit low, then in that case, you can go that route. But I went the dealership route for that reason, because I wanted to be confident and I wanted to be comfortable. And honestly, guys, like, I've heard about some horror stories and people going direct and people disappearing with money and the cars not being registered and all of those things. So I really feel like for me, it was better to go to the dealership route for those reasons. The second thing is that I did not buy a brand new car, right? So buying a secondhand car or a demo is a car that has a few kilometers on it already, means that you save on the price. So cars depreciate, most cars depreciate 15 to 30% in the first year of having used it. And for me, that's just a lot, right? And I didn't want to buy a brand new car and then have most of its value basically fall away in the first or second year. That for me was not a wise financial decision to make, and I didn't make it for those reasons. My car wasn't very old. I think it had about 20,000 kilometers, so it was still fresh, but I got to benefit from the fact that it had been used, which means the price wasn't the original price. And for me, I wanted that saving when it came to the overall cost price of the car. And driving a car for the very first time and having it be brand new out of the box was not very important to me. I was rather more interested in actually saving a bit of money and still getting something that was comfortable and reliable. So I saved money by buying a car that is secondhand as opposed to brand new. Guys, cars are depreciating assets, so I don't see myself ever investing. I say investing in inverted commas because you're essentially not investing if the asset is losing value as opposed to gaining value. But I don't see myself putting money for a brand new car ever. Maybe if I have lots and lots of money and, you know, I feel like I want to spoil myself. But at this point in time and any time in future, I don't see myself going through that route, especially because of how quickly cars depreciate. So the second thing is that I did not buy my car brand new. which made me save on the cost overall. The third thing is that in order to reduce my installment, I opted for putting in a deposit that I had saved. In my previous video, I mentioned how I saved up for this deposit. So I opted to put in a deposit to reduce the installment as opposed to taking a balloon payment. So a balloon payment is basically something that allows you to defer a portion of your car finance loan to a later stage towards the end of the payment repayment period. You can actually defer a portion. So let's say your car is 200,000 Rand. You can actually defer 50,000 Rand to the end of the period and pay it as a lump sum. Then that means that your installment will then be calculated on the 150,000 Rand, which makes it less. I did not opt for this option because of it being costly in terms of earning interest. And obviously, I want to pay off my car in less than 5 years, and then having a lump sum that I'm responsible for at the end of the period. You can do an entire separate video on balloon payments and what they can and cannot do. But I didn't opt for that. But I did want a reduced installment, so I paid a deposit in, which then meant that I obviously got charged an installment based on the remaining value of what I didn't cover with my deposit. So that helped reduce my installment, and that's another decision that I took as well. Obviously, saved on interest because you're not paying interest on the entire amount of the car, but rather what you actually had to borrow through car finance. Another thing that I did, guys, is I actually negotiated the price down for my car, which I am very proud of because I'm not the type of person who can negotiate and who's able to negotiate when it comes to prices. I'm that person who will just pay what I am being asked to pay and trust that that is what the value is. I really struggle when it comes to negotiating. But for some reason, when it came to my car, maybe it's because it was a really big purchase, I actually managed to negotiate the price down quite significantly. I think it was like 15% less than the value that it was being advertised for, which I'm really, really happy about. So if you guys do have an opportunity to do that, definitely do try it. I mean, what do you have to lose? They could just say no, and then you end up paying the original price. But I thought that was really cool. I've heard that when you have a deposit, it does give you leverage in terms of negotiation. So I had a good deposit, and maybe that's why they agreed to drop the price. I'm not sure, but I do think it's definitely something worth trying in order to save. And the last thing, guys, that I also implemented when I bought my car is I outsourced the test driving, right? So I am a believer in outsourcing, okay? I believe that some of the things that I've managed to achieve well is because I've known when to do something myself and when I'm capable and able, and when to ask somebody else to step in and do it for me. So one of the things that I also did when I bought my car is that I actually took my husband with me to test drive the car and to have a look at it, because he'd obviously been driving for quite a long time and he had experience with cars that I didn't have. So I would definitely suggest that if this is your first time and you don't really know what a good engine sounds like and what a bad engine sounds like and how to know if a car is a good drive or it's not, to take someone reliable that you trust to actually experience that with you. Again, we're trying to save costs in the car having a fault or something not being okay with the car, etc. Of course, you can take the risk if you don't have anyone and test drive yourself and then hope you figure it out if there's something is wrong. But specifically, if you are buying a secondhand car, I really do advise that you take someone who has driven cars before and who has more experience than you to just test drive the car as well, so they can give you a good feedback, good reliable feedback that is not biased, because obviously the salesperson will say that this is a great car, you should definitely drive it, we think it's good. But if you take someone who is knowledgeable in that space or has a bit of experience, they might help you make a good decision as well. Guys, so those are some of the tips that I have for you, and those are some of the things that I did when I bought my first car. If you found this video insightful, please don't forget to leave me a huge thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do consider subscribing so I can see you in the next one. Bye.